Hello and welcome to LA Rider, Louisiana's favorite motorcycle television show. I'm Tammy Arender. So glad you're joining us this evening. Tonight we wind up our ride on the Natchez Trace with a look at the city at the end of the line. I'm talking about Nashville, Tennessee, a city rich in music and history, and in this report you can learn an awful lot about both. When you ride into downtown Nashville, it immediately strikes a chord with your musical side. Like the recognizable vibrations of a V-twin, the area called Lower Broadway in Nashville is obviously a music lover's playground. Now with the addition of the Musicians Hall of Fame, the unsung heroes of some of music's biggest hits are recognized. Everything under this roof has significance from the soundtrack of your life. Take this microphone. This was from RCA Studio B over on Music Row in Nashville. Folks like Elvis Presley, Patsy Cline, others sang into this microphone, Dolly Parton. This hat belonged to the most famous guitarist of all, Chet Atkins. This was his putter, which in later years in life he actually used as a walking cane. But don't think it's just country music remembered in this hall. Founder Joe Chambers says this is about music, not a genre.
If you're interested in the Red Hot Chili Peppers, you know, Chad Smith's snare drum that he used on the first two albums that he recorded with them is here. So it's just according to what your tastes are.
When Joe gives you a tour of his astonishing stockpile of instruments, photos, and mementos of music memorabilia, you're taken on a musical journey. Like when you see the very bass that Lightnin' Chance played on such hits as Your Cheatin' Heart for Hank Williams Sr. or the Everly Brothers' Let It Be Me, your mind's jukebox jumps into gear. For Joe, it's about saluting those who worked as studio musicians and created those unforgettable sounds.
So many of the big records that you think you know who's on the record is not what you think it is. It's relatively unknown studio players. So we're not confined to just the studio musician, but we definitely want to put the studio musician at the same level, on the same pedestal as the big well-known stars.
Joe's many years in the music business as a songwriter and as a guitar shop owner gave him the opportunity to work with many music legends. Joe wrote Somebody Lied, among other hits, for Ricky Van Shelton on this piano. But this instrument had already churned out many hits before Joe tickled these ivories. It belonged to Billy Sherrill, the man who wrote Stand By Your Man with Tammy Wynette and He Stopped Loving Her Today for George Jones, just to name a few.
We've had so many people come through and go, I will never listen to the radio the same. I had no idea that, you know, who was really playing on the records. That's the bass that you hear on Bridge Over Troubled Water, Up, Up and Away, all the Carpenters records.
The bass of Madison Parish, Louisiana native Joe Osborne can be heard on 53 #1 country hits, not to mention many pop classics. And who knew that Bob Dylan recorded 4 of his biggest albums in Nashville? This is Kenny Buttrey's drum set, which you hear on Dylan's Lay Lady Lay. Joe can even tell you the behind-the-scenes story of how the janitor at that studio that night ended up playing a part in Lay Lady Lay.
So the next night, the guy comes in to clean the studio, empty the ashtrays and all that, and he comes in, well, there's a recording session going on in the middle of the night. It's Bob Dylan. And Kenny Buttrey sees the guy and says, hey, man, would you come over here and hold my bongos? So the bongo stand for
was the janitor.
Was the janitor, and that was Chris Christopherson.
I could spend hours telling you the history of each instrument on display at the Musicians Hall of Fame, but suffice it to say we only scratch the surface. Whether you come by 2 wheels or 4, allow yourself a day to experience a lifetime of hits up close and personal. You can now see what you've heard on the radio.
I've seen people come out here with tears, and they said, I just relived my life again.
This year's inductees into the Musicians Hall of Fame include the late Chet Atkins and one of the best fiddle players to this day at Nashville, Charlie Daniels. That ceremony is in October, and I speak from experience. A ride on the Natchez Trace in the fall is absolutely breathtaking, but watch out for the deer. Stay with us. There's more LA Writer to come.